Welcome to another video. In this video we'll show you how to set language dynamically in Titan Web. It's a pretty cool functionality, so I'll show you how it's done. So we'll go to the input and I'm just going to drag a bunch of fields here. We'll drag two fields. We'll keep this as simple as I possibly can. And then we'll get an input field. And I'll also want to get drop down field because this is what I'm going to use as my key. Alright, so fields settled, and now I'm going to go ahead and rename them. First thing I'm going to do, I'm going to set this drop down with a couple of values. So I'm going to say French, English. Notice the value here, it's all in lowercase, and that's what it needs to be if you want to pass the dynamic values. FR for French, EN for English, and I'm just going to say choose language like that. And then I will go ahead and rename other fields as well. So this one will be my first name. This one will be my last name. Let me just change this again, actually. I've not tabbed that correctly there. Whoops. And then lastly, what I'll do in the email field is just get rid of email. That's all I need to do. Now, to set up translation, you need to click on the gear icon, go over to Tools, and set up translation. Here you can choose multiple languages. I'm just going to choose French here, and we'll add the language. You've got whole heaps of options, your page, SmartV, Salesforce rules, everything can be done here. So all you need to do is actually just choose a category and then go ahead. For me, I'm just going to go ahead and modify my elements. First we'll do French to English. Actually needs to be vice versa, but whatever. We'll switch it over here. So first we'll say first name. We'll copy that, head over here and add that into the label. Then we will do last name, copy that, and add that over here. You can use it for your user tip, placeholder, label, all of it. And then finally we'll do one for email, copy that, and then paste that over here. And then once it's done, your translation is pretty much ready to go, but you need to pass some variables. So your variable can just be a static variable, and I can just call this one lang, like this. And then you want to configure a condition. You want to say if current field lang, let me just find it, is not empty, for example. Where is it? Then go ahead and set language and set the language from the parameter. That's what we're going to say. Click apply, 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 apply. Now, obviously we said set the language from the parameter, but we need to pass the parameter. So what we're going to do, we're going to write a condition here as well. We're going to say if language, and I'm going to choose value by the way, not the label, because remember the value has the FR and the EN codes. So I'll say if this is not empty, then go ahead and set value in my parameter, and we're going to say set value from, definite the value, choose language value, click apply, 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 and save. So now let's click preview and have a look what we've done so far. So here we have first name, last name, email. I'll go in, I'll choose French, and voila, it's changed the labels for me. And if I choose back into English, it will change the label for me as well. It hasn't in this case because I need to set the language for it. But for French, here it is, done for you. Now, there's another way to do this as well. If you don't want to do the way I've done it, you can also do it via a parameter in a URL. So how do you do that? Well, you go over to your custom variables, find this specific one and say map to URL. So click apply, click save, click preview, and now in here In fact, I'll do in the published version so you guys can see a bit better, because there are a lot of variables in and you might get confused. So publish, launch site, and then in here I can do lang equals fr, and then when I hit it, you can see that it's changed the labels for me. So that's it. These are the two ways of doing it. You can either do it the way I've shown you here. You can set it dynamically within it, or you can set it using a URL. But the main point is you're passing the parameter into your variable, but before the variable, you obviously have to do your work up front, which is set up the translation directly here. You can set up for one language, you can set it up for multiple languages, just like this. And you just have to modify the variables and make sure it's passing through, but also make sure that you set up your translation based on the category you need it for. And yeah, and that's all there is to it for this custom translation.